this week. Happy Mother's Day. Today I just wanted to take the time to celebrate, any just female in your life that makes you feel empowered and loves you and helps you with everything that makes you, And what better way than to make a card? So we're going to be making this wonderful Mother's Day card today. And when you open it up, it's got a beautiful little message in there and two cute little birds to cheep along. So let's gather our materials that we're going to need for this. So you're going to need a piece of construction paper, any color. Actually 3 pieces of construction paper of 3 different colors just for our birds in our card. You're going to need 3 popsicle sticks, some white paper, some a Sharpie, a pencil, and some glue, as well as some scissors. So I'll let you guys grab those and we'll head on right back here for the next part. Hey guys, welcome back. So hopefully you've gathered all the materials that you do need. First we want to start out with our actual card. So I'm going to use green just like I did with my sample. You can just set all that other stuff to the side for now. You're going to grab this and you're going to fold it in half. So when we fold things in half, we don't squish the part back here right away just because it may not line up exactly how you want it to. So make sure you really line up those corners before you squish it down. So, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but should be as close as possible. So I will fold that down once I'm happy with it. I like to kind of make my fold a little kind of heavier by using like a pen or a marker or something like that to kind of flatten it out. Once I have that, I want to take my pencil and I really ask you, oh, my pencil's not working here. Just grab another one here. I really ask you to take your time with this and not to press hard or use any kind of hard lines on this because you don't want any of that showing up. You just kind of want the green there. So we're gonna start with the shape for the top of the card, which is a triangle. And the reason that we have folded this is that when we cut this out, you're gonna be able to see what you cut out on both sides. So make sure that you always have your I'm right-handed, but you want to have your pencil hand over here and this folded part of the card there. You're going to start with a triangle. So I'm going to probably start a third down the page. I'm just taking my time and I'm just making a little triangle. Okay, and then I'm going to do another line that is going to go downward, but on an angle. So it is a straight line, but its direction is going on in an angle. So once you have that, I want you to turn your page again. And you want this to line up. I like to use my pencil if I'm not sure if something is gonna line up properly, but I'll put that there. I think I like where that goes there. And I'm gonna draw my line here. You're not gonna get like a perfect shape, especially because we are drawing it, but something like that kind of looks like a house, really cute. Then you want to grab your scissors and you can start cutting along these lines. So I like to cut as close as possible to the pencil that I used so that you don't see a lot of it, just because it can be distracting from the color that you are using. And as you can see, I'm taking my time while I'm cutting. I don't want to cut too much of my paper. I don't want to rush anything. There's absolutely no rush. I want to be as precise as possible. So I've got my little card now. And if we open it up, it should look like a little birdhouse. Cute. So let's set this aside. This is the card base. Next, I want to make my birds. And my birds are going to kind of be like teardrop shapes with kind of like a bended end. So I'm gonna grab 2 colors. I'm using the same colors I used in my sample. As you can see, I've already used this page before, and because we don't want to waste paper, and we always make sure we're using as much of the paper as possible. So I am reusing a little bit there. Again, we're gonna grab our pencil and you're gonna start making these shapes. Now the shapes for the birds, you want to start with a little bubble. And you want to keep curving up and then stop. And then you want to making a pointy end, you're gonna point that and bring it back over to this line right there. That's your little bird. So that's one. I'm gonna get my other color for my other bird, and I'm doing the same thing. Started with a bubble, curve it up, and go back and meet this part over there. Now I also need to make my wings of my birds, which are actually two little heart shapes. So if you can see up close there. So to make that shape, we need to just go back on our pages for our birds. And you're just gonna draw a little heart. Remember that this heart needs to fit inside of your bird. So don't make it bigger than your bird body. Just a little wing-sized heart there. So that's one. I'm gonna use this space over here. I'm gonna draw my second heart. You know, no heart is perfect. Take your time with your hearts. Any heart is beautiful, however it is. Once you have those drawings, you can grab your scissors. And I recommend, I don't know, it's nice like on this page where you can draw each item kind of beside each other because it's easier to cut out, but definitely one at a time, and again going along as close as possible to that pencil that you use to make an outline. Now my bird body and my heart kind of line up, so I'm just going to continue to cut. And notice that I have to turn my page around every time I'm kind of going around like a hump or a circle. When I am cutting out, because it can be a little difficult to try and get into those little sneaky corners without turning your page, because then it requires a lot of bending of your hand. So rotate your page as much as possible to where it helps you. So there's my little heart for my wing. I already cut out pretty much half of my bird shape, so I'm gonna cut out the rest of that. So I cut that out, perfect. Those can go together. Let's grab our purple. I'm gonna cut these out as well. Again, these ones aren't as close to each other as my other one was, so I do have to take my time while I am cutting it. Rotating the page, being very careful. Sometimes if you don't have control over your page, it can just start wobbling all over the place. So you are using both hands to do this. And when you cut slow, you get a little bit more control over what you're doing. So there's my heart. Now let's cut out our purple bird body. Okay, going all around. As you can see here, I didn't go completely too close to the pencil. That happens, you know, I am trying to cut as close as possible, but you can't always hit those lines perfectly, which is okay. But you do want to just cut out the general shape. So now we have both of these shapes. We're gonna just take our excess paper, put this to the side. As you can see, there's lots of space on the paper as well, so keep those if you want to do something else with them. We've got our birds here. Let's cut out our little beaks as well. We want to make sure we got all the pieces of paper we need for our birds before we move on to the next part. So this should be fairly easy because it is just two regular shapes of a triangle. So what I like to do is I like to start from any corner, cut from an angle on one side, go to the other, cut that. That is one bird beak. Now I'm gonna do the same thing here. And I honestly kind of already have one side of my triangle here, so I'm just going to cut another one, and I can just cut a straight line on this one. Kind of using one beak cutout to make the other one kind of makes it a little easier. And then lastly, you want to assemble and grab your googly eyes. So I need 4 because I do have 2 different birds. Okay. So I want to start by assembling each bird. So I want you to go and grab your glue. Once you have that with your paintbrush, just to spread that, then we're gonna come back here and stick all this together, all right? So welcome back, you guys. Let's start with our purple bird. I want to grab my brush, and I have put some of my glue into a little cup, just it's kind of easy for me to use here. I'm going to start with the wing. I'm going to grab my purple heart. I don't really want to see, however nice they may be, I don't want to see my pencil marks in my bird, so I'm actually going to flip this one over and flip the heart over so all you can see is the color. So that means I need to add some glue on the pencil side of my heart.
Hi, Kirky.
Hello. We have a little friend here today. Hello. We're gonna stick that on here. Gertie, I gotta make some art. We're gonna stick that here. I am also gonna grab one of my googly eyes here. I realized I grabbed 4 thinking I'd put eyeballs on either side, but this is a 2D project, so you really only need 2. So I grabbed my eye, put my eye on there. Last thing, I'm gonna grab my beak and put glue on one side of that. And I want to put that just along the edge here, so your bird looks something like this. So you're gonna do the exact same thing for the blue one. Again, I don't really wanna see too much of my pencil, but I did do this bird this way, so this one has to be the other. Luckily, this is kind of like darker paper, so you can't really see a lot of those pencil marks, but same thing. I'm gonna start putting some glue on one side. Notice I'm not putting way too much glue, because when you press it, sometimes the glue can escape on the outer edges of your page here. So I put that on there. I'm gonna grab my googly eye, put some glue on the back of that, put that around the top area of my bird. I'm gonna grab my little beak here. I might change my shape of my beak. Just like that. Okay, I'm gonna put some glue on the back. I'm kind of focusing with this beak, I'm just putting glue towards the end because one side does really stick out. So I got my 2 birds there. So we're gonna let these dry, okay? And I'm gonna need you to grab your sheet of white paper, okay? You can rinse off your brush because we did just use glue. You definitely don't want to leave any glue on your brush because that will dry and you won't be able to use it again. But we're going to grab our sheet of white paper. Anything that we make throughout the video or throughout our time together, we just kind of set to the side, especially if it's something we have glued and we need it to dry. So using our paper here, I'm going to just fold. What I really want here is just kind of like a clean, straight edge. So I'm just folding my paper in the slightest, lining it up so it's straight, just so I can get that straight line. Okay, so you should be left with like a rectangle shape like that. Now you want to take your scissors and you want to just cut along that line. Again, this isn't going to be like perfectly straight, but because we did fold the paper and we are following this line, it should be a little straighter than normal, but you know, it's not going to be perfect. So we have our sheet, and I want 2 pieces of white paper. One is going to be for our little mom page here and our little note inside of our card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of them. So they're kind of small, and this will be for the front. And the page in the back says a little bit more words than the one on the front is, so we need to make sure it's a good enough size. So this is the bigger sheet. Here there's a little bit of a stray away there. I'm just going to make it a little smaller and cut some off. So you should have 2 pieces of white paper. The first one, what we want to do with that is literally just write the word mom. So I like to do things in bubble letters just because I think it's a lot cooler. You can use this to press on just because sometimes when we go in with the marker, you might go on the table, but I'm literally going to write M-O-N-M. Okay. And the marker that we are using today it's way bigger and has a way bigger tip than our pencil does. So I know that when I go over it, it should be a little bigger. And when I make bubble letters, I pretty much just go, especially with this darker marker and this thick marker, I just go around all of the pencil that I have, marks that I've made. And I just kind of blow it up and make it bigger. It's more exciting, and I think it just kind of makes the word pop. And it's a cool way to practice making bubble letters because there are a lot of different ways you can do that. With this way in particular, the more kind of rings you put around your word, the more it will show up. This is why we use a paper underneath, because this could be your table. So make sure you grab that. Keep making those lines. As you can see, I'm just taking my time, moving very slowly to make sure I'm covering everything properly, but that it's all under control and not going too crazy. So that's our first one. That's for the front of the card that just says Mom. Our second card is going to read, "You make our house a home." So we definitely need to start with some pencil before we go in with our Sharpie, but we want to write those words. And how I made everything fit is making this card have 3 words at the top, 2 in the middle, and home is the biggest word there. So let's start with "You make an hour." So we're gonna write you. If you need help with spelling, you know, you can always ask your parents or check in a book or wherever you can to look. Make hour. So as you can see, I went right to the edge of the paper with that. There's no right or wrong way to write this. House, and home is going to be in all capital letters. So I'm gonna write home, and the only difference in a letter here is making our O a heart. And I like to add a little exclamation point to get the point across, just like that. And because our letters are a little smaller than they were before, just take your time, but depending on the marker you use, you should be able to cover pretty much all the pencil that you do end up using. I'm specifically not rushing this because if you do, you might end up making a mistake that you won't be able to fix because this is permanent marker. And, you know, taking your time just ensures that you get everything you want done properly. And there really is no rush when you're making such a nice piece of art like this. You just want it to look as nice as possible and to really get across your feelings. Okay, so now that I have all these things, I can now move on to gluing things. And before we can add on this lovely popsicle sticks all around to make this kind of look like a birdhouse, we need to make sure that we're gluing in all of the beautiful things that we just cut out. Looking at this, I also forgot we do need to cut out a little black heart to put on top of our house. You don't have to use black. I have some left over, let's see, maybe some orange. That's kind of fun. So again, another way to use your leftover paper. We definitely don't want to waste anything. There's always materials you can use if you reuse them. So let's just start by drawing a heart. Very, very simple. You want to cut that out, and when we do that, we can add it to this pile and we can grab our glue. So we're just cutting along the pencil like before, okay? It can be very tricky. Definitely don't want to rush cutting anything out. If cutting is too difficult, again, you can always get help from parents or your big sister, brother. You know, you might want to keep this a secret from mom while you're making this. So, anyone who's not her that can help you, that'd be great. Okay, so we got our little heart. We're gonna grab our card. And as you can see, the only thing on here is the heart and the mom. So we're gonna grab our heart first. I always, especially if I'm using pencil to make my outline, always put the glue on that side because it won't show all those marks. So I'm just taking my brush now. I'm brushing a little bit of glue on the back here. Okay, and that's gonna go pretty much in the middle top part of your card. Okay. Now I'm gonna take the mom sign and really be careful not to put glue all over the part that you drew. You wanna make sure it's the back. So same thing, I'm just putting a bunch of glue on there. Same as before. Again, you don't need too much. I like to have enough that it will cover. Now, because we're using a bigger sheet of paper and it's a lot thinner because it is printer paper and not construction, I like to make sure I cover all the corners most definitely, because if you just kind of put glue in the middle, the corners start to raise up and it's hard for them to stick down. So make sure you do that. I've glued the whole thing. You're gonna get a little glue on your fingers, that's okay. But we're just gonna grab it and we're gonna put it towards, maybe towards the middle. I think I might wanna decorate my card a little, so I gotta leave some space for that. Once you've glued it, use your finger to slightly press down and you should have something like this, okay? Now let's open this up and we're gonna put our birds on either side. So I'm gonna take my purple bird and this is gonna go on the left side of my card. So I need to flip this over. By now, your bird should be completely dry, nothing should be still wet. You wanna grab your brush, same thing, brush on some of that glue. Again, make sure you get those corners. You could even, if your beak is poking out, you can put a little bit of glue on the back of your beak. That will help it stick. We're just gonna put that towards the bottom here. Use our fingers, lightly squish. That's one bird. I'm gonna grab our bird number 2, grab some more glue. That rhymed. And you're just gonna brush it all around the back. And as you can see, it's just a thin layer of glue. We don't want any globs of glue, because then if there's too much, it's kind of like, you can see when, especially when you're trying to put your bird down, that it starts squirming around because there's just so much glue on there. So we've got our 2 birds down. Last thing is to take our sign that says you make our house a home. And you're gonna do the same thing. Make sure you flip it over. This, you know, mom was a little hard to see if we were using the right side or not, but your word should be backwards on the back. Put some glue all around there, just like we did before. Okay. Again, putting glue especially on those corners so we don't have any flyaways. So I just glue that whole thing. I'm gonna pick it up and it's gonna go on the right side of the card, okay? Right above that bird. Once you have a good spot, you can start putting it down. If you notice that you have a little bit sticking out on the edge here, just take your scissors and just snip it off and it won't distract you from any part of your card. So now that we have this, we want to let all this dry and I will meet you back here for the next part and the very last part, which is putting on your little popsicle sticks. Hey guys, welcome back. So this should be fully dried by now, but what I want you to do is I want you to grab your 3 popsicle sticks, okay? And you want to grab your paintbrush and you're just gonna put them all pretty much along the edge of each of the sides that we have cut out. So it's going to look something like that. Don't worry if it is close to your heart or right beside it, that's all right, but we do want something like that. So I'm gonna start with my bottom popsicle stick and some glue. I'm just painting all of one side. And once we have glued all of our popsicle sticks on, I want you to try and find something heavy, like a heavy book or a rock, or a big jar of water, whatever you can find, because we need to make sure that these popsicle sticks stay where they are. So we're gluing down this first one. So you just want to hold it. Let's count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that is just to make sure it's on there, it won't come off, and you know, sometimes the glue likes to move around before it really sets in. So that was number 1. Number 2, same thing. I'm gonna put some glue on one side. Okay. And you can set this aside till you need it for the third one, but it's gonna go on one side here. So again, count to 10 in your head, out loud, whatever you want. Okay. So that's the second side. Third one, same thing. Now this third popsicle stick is going to have to overlap this one and go on top, just because of the length and stuff like that, but that's okay. But just to let you guys know, because otherwise it kind of goes down here and it's not really lining up and stuff like that. So let's put our glue on. You know, you might get some glue on your fingers, no big deal. It's okay. Can always wash it off after. Should definitely be washing our hands very often, especially in these times. But definitely when we use anything kind of sticky like glue. So we've glued one side. You're going to put it on top of the other. Now, the way I folded this paper, my popsicle stick kind of has to come a little bit over, and that's okay. It is covering my heart, but that is totally fine. I can still see it. I chose a really bright color. Looks really good. Now, this is the part where I did want you to find something heavy, just because you can put this kind of face down, put something heavy on top, and this will just kind of keep everything in place. I would say the heaviest thing I have here is our penguin. So we'll let that dry and we'll come right back here. Guys, welcome back. So I actually found some of these super cute rock ladybugs made by our Chana. I'm using these as just paperweights to hold down my glued popsicle sticks, just let them dry. And the very last step after all the fun stuff that we just did is to, of course, sign your name on your art. Again, that is showing that you made something, it's yours, you put the date on it so you know when you made it. And for that, you just want to grab your Sharpie, or maybe you want to use your pencil first just to put down your little name, and you can go over it again. I'm just going to go straight with Sharpie because I feel very confident. And I'm just going to grab my little card here, set our little friends down. And you want to kind of treat this as like a Hallmark card, you know, make it yours. Like, this is yours, this is your masterpiece. Everyone should know it. So you want to put your name just on the bottom. Okay. Maybe you want to put a little by you. You can put maybe the price, because you bought this. This looks, you know, totally store-bought, so professional. And you can say free, because I love you. And there you have it, you guys. There is the back of your lovely card. Let's open it up and see what we have. So cute. Happy Mother's Day, you guys. And, you know, really give this to anyone that you love and anyone who makes you happy. That, you know, this is a very special card that should go to a very special person. Yeah, and if you're looking for anything else to do for Mother's Day, you know, why not try out any of our colors here for our clay. You know, you could make some clay cards, you could make some clay hearts, or write mom out in clay. You know, anything cool, anything that experiments with colors. Make a little figurine for your mom. You know, there's lots of different options here with our wannabe Wanda kits, and you know, the choice is yours and the sky's the limit. You can make anything that you like. I had a great time today with you. Hope you're having a great day. Again, happy Mother's Day. Sending hugs and love to all you. Have a wonderful day.